not the norm. Today, that's the norm, right? Where they could just be like, cash at me. They look through you, around you. And to be fair, women got more going on today.
Yeah,
Way more. For sure. They got jobs. They got make more money than a lot of these guys in many cases. They got virtual. They got options. They got social media. So they're monetized. That's where I say monetized. They got leverage.
So okay, so and it's interesting too because in the '90s you're in your late teens, early 20s.
Yeah.
So now you're going into your 20s and 2000s. So you're saying it actually was hard for you in the 2000s and most of the '90s.
Easy.
Even though you're making more money and more successful than that.
So I got married. Full. Okay. So but we were at the same social circle. So it's easy as far as you're saying. Just think, you're stop. But it was expected, and she didn't shoot it at like type of thing. He was like, "Oh, let's see what happens here." I regret that day for the rest of my day. I stopped myself. That's another thing, But you still see women want to get married. There's still this want a husband, right? Kids, creating a family. It still exists more than it doesn't exist today.
Okay. So 2000s got a bit harder. Women are more open with rejecting you. Would you say that the women becoming more independent through Destiny's Child and this culture of I'm gonna get work made it where women's standards went up and they just were not willing to tell her certain things and that's made it harder?
I suppose, but still there was still change. There was still this the woman couldn't just be out here. Now they were there. But you had video vixens, models. These women were okay. These girls are over here.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go get streets girl. Yep. Go give me a good girl. So you can still go find a good girl where that good girl doesn't have a digital footprint, OnlyFans or Instagram.
Okay, before we get into the 2010s, because I predict that there's gonna be a lot of shift here into the 2010s. What is the magic age now at this point? So in the 90s, you said that age was 24. You don't got a man at 24, you're basically cooked. Like you're getting made fun of. What's wrong with you? Right. Now we're in the 2000s. What is that age now?
Say 28, 29.
Okay.
Where the woman would go to Thanksgiving for the 8th time with no boyfriend, no man. You ain't got no boyfriend, you ain't got no man. So their relatives will tell them, even though female relatives, what's going on?
Okay.
Why you don't got a boyfriend?
So the shaming began at around 28, 29 now.
29, yeah.
In the 80s, what was that number in your? I know you were a kid.
Yeah, in the 80s. Shoot, man, look, man, I'm telling you, people would have kids and families at 21, 22.
Okay. Still. So old is it married by 22?
25. You can still say 24, 25.
24, 25 still? Okay.
They do some damage, like, mother had me at 20.
Okay.
You know what I mean? So, like, you can still have young moms where women weren't pushing that career thing in the 80s all the way to 32 and 38. Sure. This is definitely a 20s thing.
Okay.
Still a 20s thing.
Yeah. Okay. So it was unheard of like now where it's like you don't got a kid in your 30. Like, something's wrong with you.
Dude, I'm telling you, man, like, I don't think people realize how big of a deal that is.
Yeah, that's why I'm harping on it. And I want the audience, because some of the guys that are watching are older, so they know this. Yeah. I want the younger guys to know, these older women that are single still, they're failures.
Yeah, they're failures. They're not women 32 and 44 still talking about marriage and children. Like, in the 80s and 90s, this was non-existent. Now, that didn't mean women weren't having children at that age. They could have had their 5th kid in their 40s, right?
Yeah.
Or they could have married their 3rd husband.
Yep.
So it was something still there. But women look, straight off my 20s. And in maybe mid-30s, I'm going to think about having a family and husband. This is new. And not only new from the 80s, this is new in the history of human beings. How important is money at this point? Is it still important for dating? I mean, you can be broke. You can have some struggle love. You can have that Jaheim. Jaheim was in the 2000s, that struggle love. Type of like that where y'all gonna build together.
Yeah.
We're gonna get together and we're gonna put a family together, build, and we're gonna have our and sleep on crates and we'll eventually build something together. That was more likely the idea of for the men and women. Now, once you get into 2010, it's over. That's good.
That's going to be a big shift. Is there anything that we need to look at? Shout out to you guys. I'm live on Twitter right now. We're live on Rumble. We're live on YouTube. We're live on other platforms. We got Coach Greg Adams in the house. Let's go into the 2010s. I predict that there's gonna be a lot of changes.
This is what destroyed everything. So the 2010s, obviously, Tinder, Bumble comes out 2012. Well, Instagram comes out 2012. Tinder, Bumble, the iPhone 3 comes out. This is the biggest selling iPhone. iPhone 1 and 2 didn't do anything. I think Instagram had a part in that because people were still using Android.
The first iPhone was 2008, 2009. I think the iPhone 4, that was the big one. That came out in 2010.
I think it was 3S, then the 4. So
Yeah.
this is 2010,
Yeah.
going into 2011, 12. So this is when most people are getting an iPhone now. They're turning in their Android.
Yeah.
They're turning in their Palm Pilot and
Yeah.
their BlackBerry. You're like, oh, it's
yeah.
an iPhone, right?
Yeah.
So now we have
Blackberries are starting to die.
So now we have apps, and the apps work better on the iPhone than they do. So everybody's like, oh, let me see this, right? So Instagram's out 2010, 2012. Tinder, this is hookup culture. So hookup culture for people, many people were born in hookup culture.
Yeah.
Hookup culture is brand new, 2012. You can swipe, swipe, swipe. You're not a loser too much anymore for joining Tinder, although if you met a girl and then you met her family down the line, you would never say, hey, I met my girl on Tinder. You probably look like I met her at a coffee shop. It still was passe. But now women can reach the woman that is considered 4, 5, 6, and 7. She can reach 6-pack, ab, muscle. She can reach a guy, and she would hook up with him. She wouldn't want a relationship with him. She's trying to get her rocks off underneath. Then she would go find beta man.
So basically this like whole social circle circumference game that they had to adhere to avoid being shamed in the 90s and the 2000s, that's gone now. Now the anonymity is finally here that they've been looking for.
They got anonymity. They could just do undercover at 30, be somebody on Instagram, be somebody on Tinder, come through. Now women will blame the men for this. I'm telling you, it was them doing this whole thing where they could get their rocks off and get the sex that they want. Get your hair pulled, all the dirt that they're watching. Now women are more likely to consume porn at this point because if you were a guy in the 80s and 90s, early 2000s, and you bought a Playboy magazine, women like, oh, he one of those guys. Now women want to be Playboy models. Now you're seeing model mayhem, and a lot of the women want to be models now. And they're saying they want to be models, and you're like, what the hell? I think they had a show on E with Hugh Hefner, and he had 3 girlfriends. Now women are like, be like that. Paris Hilton's out. Be like that. We want to be her. So now they're wanting to be exploring their sexuality a little bit more, being sexually free.
So Kim had the sex tape again with Rick.
That was probably late 2009, 2007.
Yeah, like 2007 around there.
Paris Hilton was before that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So would it be fair to say that like this hookup culture like began basically in 2010, where women were now indiscriminately, well, they're discriminate, but to a degree,
Right.
but where it's like mass, where they're starting to hook up with guys.
They're exploring their sexual freedom.
I remember it would be on reality TV a little bit. Like I remember like Jersey Shore and The Real World and all this stuff. Like you would see hookup culture there.
Yeah.
Maybe that was something reserved for television entertainment. Now you're saying now we're saying like normies are doing it now.
The normal woman is now going, I want to get my hair pulled.
Sure.
Show. Where before it was like a type of woman. So the woman could say there's good girls out here. But now the normal woman is going,
Gotcha.
I'm going to match with this guy. He just will come and beat the brakes off of me and then go. But sex was more free. I think it was like 60s free love. Hookup culture was free love. Right? It allowed an opportunity for regular women to find the guy they want to bang, the dangerous guy, the bad guy, but not give relationship restrictions on him.
Okay.
At the same time, she's dating me, you, and telling us we need to date them, wait 90 days,
Okay.
to get married. So she's playing both sides.
So women are also starting to date multiple men now. They're having
Having conversations.
Now they're having relationships.
Yeah.
Versus they couldn't do that before.
They would lose it.
The social circle would find out.
Everybody will find out. It's like it'd be like going to church. Hey, what about Tiffany? So Tiffany. Now Tiffany could be out there over here and then also dating over here.
So what would you say? You mentioned a bunch of different dating apps, social media, whatever. What do you think was the biggest contributor to the hookup culture that began in the 2010s?
Tinder. Instagram. Instagram wasn't what it was today.
Yeah.
Instagram was a photo filter. Right?
What about Facebook? Because Facebook is still popular at this point. What do you use it for?
Facebook is people a facade. People want to put their best. So people wasn't up there holding Facebook.
Gotcha.
Right? Yeah. They cheat on your wife on Facebook.
It's more family.
It's more family oriented. I'm a good person here and
MySpace, because MySpace was the thing.
MySpace and Black Planet was the thing. Yeah, that was the thing.
Black Planet?
Yeah, so Black Planet, yeah, back in the day, that was now Black Planet. See, whatever the Black community does, the greater society will do 5, 10, 15 years down the line.
Yeah.
So the directory started with Black people on Black Planet of free people. So Black Planet was a place where the dots was on. So space was kind of along the same time. So you still weren't really meeting a girl on MySpace and banging her. It was just some girl out there.
Just chatting.
Yeah, you just chat with her, and you wasn't like, okay, fly out, drive out, go see you. She was just a woman out there. Whereas in 2010, 12, 13, Instagram started to become before, and a lot of you guys don't remember this. There were celebrities on Instagram. Okay, there were Instagram celebrities. There were people that they started getting popular on Instagram. Celebrities still were like, speak to the publicists.
Right.
They would go out and get a paparazzi.
That's a very important distinction. That you this whole internet influencer was not a thing. It wasn't real. Like you're right. Like the real celebrities were your traditional celebrities.
Personal trainers. Like just want dying. I think at the time it was the whole duck clip.
Yep.
There were those girls.
Yeah.
So you're starting to see women get an attention doing, scantily clad, like it's kind of, today it would be innocent. Like, you're like, that's what was pop. Yeah, but women started to get a little bit more, like women had to be doing something. They had to be a personal trainer, scantily clad. They couldn't just be like this stop.
Yeah.
But that changed, 2017, 18.
And what we'll do? We can do that because the 2010s is so goddamn revolutionary for dating. We can go from 2010 to 2015 then up to 2020.
Yeah.
So, okay.
Lomas D12 says 2012 was the beginning of the end for dating.
It was. Pretty much, you could just say that was the year it was done.
Okay. So, hookup culture was the defining situation. All right, so now we're in 2015. Trump is about to run for president. So, what are some of the differences now at this point at 2015?
I think by that time, celebrities are on Instagram. So now there's the blue check mark there. So now if you don't, you know what I mean? So now if you don't have a blue check mark,
Yeah.
out of luck. And how do you get the blue check mark? How do you get a major following? Instagram, like it's hard to build your Instagram following if you're not a celebrity.
Yeah. So now this is the rise of internet celebs now.
Internet
So
celebrity.
I remember when I came to this space, and you said Instagram's not a dating app. You're crazy. You're trying to sell it for us. I'm like, no. This is the new meta for dating. And it's funny because the blue check mark meant something back in the day.
It meant something.
It meant you were an actual celebrity,
Yep.
verifiable.
The legacy check.
This is actually you.
Yep.
Nowadays, what is it? It's a statement to say I can buy it. That's pretty much it.
And guess who was mad at that?
Celebrities.
They were mad because now we can put ourselves on par and their check doesn't mean anything anymore because I can pay.
I'll be honest, bro. Me and them both have legacy verifications. We're pissed.
Yeah.
We're like, what the fuck, bro?
Yeah, because now I can get in.
Yeah.
Because I think I was how do I get a blue check mark?
Yeah.
Yeah.
The
It's
only
more hard to get, dude.
like,
It's very hard to get.
back in the day, you needed a publicist, you needed a bunch of articles with a bunch of press to get that actual check.
For real.
Nowadays, you just pay $12.
$12 a month to get a check. Yeah,
Done.
So,
And I was pissed.
because you paying. Yeah. So,
Like actual articles and shit like that, and dude, I had like so many articles of them talking like Fox News, misogynist, whatever.
right. So that's how you get verified. But
Yeah.
today you don't have to do
You don't have
that.
to do it.
Back in 2016.
And Vine was huge too. I forgot to mention this.
Yeah.
And like a lot of these like big celebs that we have now, internet celebrities.
Yeah.
Let them start like balls, etc.
They were fighters. Yeah, they were fine. Vine was big.
So her point, Lomas looked at it and he said, only NBA players can get girls on Instagram. Every message on Instagram ignored me.
Well, who is Lomas? I don't know who he is. Instagram is the number one dating app. 100%. It's the number one dating app in the world. It trumps any of them by far. Now, the problem is we're talking about monetized now. You have to have some lifestyle money to be able to very much do well on Instagram.
And
Okay, fit.
for us as men, it's competition. No matter where you look, okay, who's the best man that I can find in my area to date? With Instagram, it's worldwide now.
Yeah.
So you're competing against Odell Beckham,
Shit.
a Drake, a Future. It's like, bro, the majority of women,
Yeah.
ain't after them. and you're a regular guy with a regular job, posting selfies in the mirror like, huh.
So
you
what
know
you say,
but you know what's crazy though?
Yeah.
The where guys don't understand, Drake of
If you go to yesterday's leads, you can check on Pound Expense Life, Veteran Life, Retirement, Home, Auto, Medicare, Health, and
5 or right. So you're looking at her saying, "She ain't got that."
Cameron soon.
You're like, "Yes,
Yeah, we're gonna after this too.
It's genius.
Yeah.
It's crazy. They're like, oh, bro, I'm the body, I'm tense. I'm like, really? Miss your 10. Oh, nah, bro.
Right.
But then, when you go out, she's in person. The fours are two threes.
That's the other thing."
Then it's you. I'm hitting her. Oh, she's a 5 or 6.
Right.
So bring you down.
Yeah, right.
Come on, man.
Exactly.
Let me cap it.
Exactly.
It's whatever.
So now we're in 2015. So in 2015, you're saying we're starting to get the shift in the rise of the e-celebrity.
Celebrity.
Yeah, because mine at this point is like, I think it had just started.
Just started.
Yeah.
I believe it.
It started phasing out.
Yeah, I think it started because I think it came out 2013ish,
Yeah.
and then it's maybe started phasing out.
In 17, 18. I think Twitter bought it at one point.
Yeah, but Instagram is mainstream now. Everyone got Instagram. You don't got Instagram?
What? Well,
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah, I'd say yeah. No. Yeah, at this point, so we're starting to see Instagram. Like, if you don't got Instagram, people look at you like you're weird. So we start to see the rise of social media. What else do you think? I guess from the 2015s. Actually, you know what? Compare and contrast it to the 80s and 90s.
okay, so now
There we go. Yeah.
a woman can not get married. Like that can be her goal. She can push off. She can say, "Hey, I got my 20s. I'm gonna live on my 20s. I'm gonna have fun." You're starting to see this fly out element where people are going to Dubai. Oh, what are they going for? Now we know they're getting duty on, right, by a sheep. But for the most part, women are looking at it like have extended life. The options just aren't in front of me anymore. And for men, you're seeing that men are going, okay, I don't have a blue check mark. I don't have a physique, 6-pack abs. I don't have, a nice car. And we're seeing women get these guys' attention. And we're seeing men going, I can't compete with that. So this is the whole 80-20 rule being lived out in front of everybody. But hookup culture is going to start to phase out at this point. So I would say hookup culture really only lasted really till about 2020 COVID. So 2012 to 2020 was hookup culture where you can be like, I'm getting sex for free.
Okay.
Right.
All right. Now let's get into 2020 now.
2020.
Because this is also a big shift from the pandemic.
Yeah. So you got the pandemic, you got COVID, everybody's at home.
Yeah.
They're on their phones, they're on YouTube, they're on social media. Social
Dating
media
app
going
had a
crazy.
huge jump and social. Yeah.
Yeah, so everything's going crazy. You start when people on COVID, you start seeing women more latch on to try to get a relationship, right?
Yeah.
Because they're at home more, they want somebody, I call them a quarantine boo,
Yeah.
right? They can quarantine with some dudes. But at the same time, you're also seeing women still out there, using their 20s to look around
Yep. And hustling and monetizing.
and hustling. So now,
Because a lot of them lost work.
yes, they
Like, a
lost
lot of these women that were like bartenders or like strippers or any of this stuff where they like monetized their beauty
Yep.
and they had to go somewhere to do it. Now they don't have a job.
Now they have a job. So now OnlyFans started in 2016, but it still was like
Let's say sugar dating became huge too at this point.
sugar. So at this point, now they're overtly sugar dad. It was like a joke before,
Yeah.
I can be a rich guy.
Yeah.
Now you're seeing them do it. So seeking arrangements is 2018, 2019. They're losing their jobs. Young women. They're not going to school because of COVID. So now you're seeing it overtly being whipped out. So I feel like the monetized dating marketplace, right?
Also, back then, there were scouts, strip clubs, and clubs. For years ago, there were. Okay, so you know what? Stop it. OnlyFans, I'll manage it.
Oh, yeah, the rest of it. So
Yeah.
Yeah, but that's all OnlyFans.
a lot of people forget that OnlyFans has been around since like 2016.
Yeah.
It became huge in 2020. Because all these girls that made money being power bros, strippers, dancers, everything else like that, now they're like, damn, I need to make money. So they get an OnlyFans. Like every dancer, every stripper did OnlyFans.
Had to.
Yeah.
You don't have any means to be able to go out there. So you got sugar daddy, you got OnlyFans. So now what happened was guys started to see it. But at this point, we're popular. You're popular. You're flowing, right? And at that point, we're already doing this type of content. We're exposing this.
YouTube was huge too. Like, well, yeah, so, like basically, I would say 2020 was a turning point where a lot of people started to shift to watch their favorite content creator versus television.
Correct.
like, we started to see the mainstream media die a bit. Trump had already been doing this too, going on fake news for 4 years.
Yep.
Yeah, right, so we're starting to see the rise of independent media, the rise of the people using the internet and watching their favorite influencer, which versus like television.
Yep.
But yeah, sorry, continue.
Well, I remember I went to when COVID hit. My channel's already out. I'm over 100,000 subs. Yeah, but I went to Best Buy during COVID, and people were buying lights, cameras, microphones. Like, so people become influencers.
Yeah.
Women, men, couples, families. So everybody's on TikTok is now, gaining traction. So now people want to be. You were celebrity.
YouTube became super because like I remember like dudes used to just record with an iPhone and put videos up on some. If you try to do that now, like, and you're new, if you're already in the game and you can get away with it. But like, let's say you're new and you're just making a channel, bro, and you just sitting there with your phone.
It's by this is local cameras back in the day. It was
sold out. Yeah.
wait, cameras sold out. They sold out. How's it possible? One big creator.
Everyone started.
Well, yeah, actually, no, nothing that shit. Bro, they're a bit, like, I couldn't get them.
Like roll mics.
You couldn't get roll mics? You couldn't get cam links?
That's right. Yeah.
So for everyone watching this, right? If you want to stream, one of your best friends that you're gonna need, if you don't have a switcher, but most people don't use switchers, that's a bit more sophisticated when you got multiple cameras.
Yeah.
But what you would do if you have one camera and you're streaming, you use a cam link, and that cam link, what it basically does is it connects your computer to the camera. And I will never forget, Elgato had these cam links, bro. They were selling them for like triple the price because you couldn't get it. You couldn't get those on there.
Yeah, it's Elgato lights.
You couldn't get those.
Couldn't even get them. I had to buy like 5 of them at once.
No, because now you. At this point, I had to buy all the work for the studio. It was their studio part, and I remember everything being fine and expensive. I was like, "What the?" Yeah, you're right, because you start to see people get into being in content creation, and then also you're starting to see like television companies, news broadcasters, etc. They're getting on YouTube now.
So
You know,
I think you remember that YouTube around 2019 tried to sell it. YouTube.
Was that the apocalypse, or I think it was once
It was after that apocalypse. But what happened was like Jimmy Kimmel and all of these corny ass people, YouTube started to favor them right before COVID. So YouTube was like, hey, the mainstream people want to be over here. And then right before COVID, all those people, like these late night show guys, they started Trevor Noah.
Fucking
They started
guys, look right. Sign out again, yeah.
Right. So these people started to get on YouTube. But what happened was COVID hit and shut down their production because they were just shooting from their studio.
And they're in LA.
And they
had the worst restrictions.
So now YouTube had to pivot back to Samuels. They had to pivot back to the regular YouTube.
Yep.
Because they was ready to sell us out. I said that in 2019. They was ready to sell us out to the mainstream.
Wow.
COVID hit, and then
they're all based in LA, and we know LA had some of the most severe restrictions and lockdowns.
Exactly.
Oh man.
Yeah.
So yeah, and this brings back so many memories because it was only 5 years ago, but I remember dude struggling to get a cam link.
Yep.
Like I remember how much.
And a webcam. There's the webcam. Logitech. Like, dude, I remember seeing Logitech webcams for $100.
Yeah,
That's great.
they're robbing everybody, bro. And the thing too also is that what ended up happening, I realized, is if you guys watch YouTube creators from like 2019 or before prior, you're gonna see like people use their phones, they use more rudimentary equipment. But then once you get into the 2020s, dude, people are using damn near production like TV level stuff.
Yeah. Well, you change in this space. You change the game. I always say that you change the game because like AMS would just get his phone.
Yeah.
He just hit it on AMS would just be like, you know what I mean? Would come on.
Yeah.
And so we all was like, that's how we get put on, right? But then you came in here with the lights and the studio, and it completely changed the game.
Because I looked at how everyone was using like rudimentary equipment, so I was like, okay, if we're gonna come into the Red Bull, we gotta come in, not just come in, but we gotta come in like on some super high quality production.
Yeah.
To stand out, and that's kind of what was like my thought when I was buying the equipment, and then also having it more as a talk show, I thought was a better idea because what I noticed, because the other thing too, and I'll talk about this because I know you had talked about some other people, like everyone was scared of censorship for YouTube, right? And it's one thing when you're just sitting there, just looking at that, right? But if you are having a discussion or a debate or a conversation, it's going to be a little bit easier to kind of maybe bypass hate speech a bit, right? And then obviously I led the way for having these discussions with women. But yeah, I remember the Manosphere, man, like guys were getting censored like that because, they were just like, Just something.
Yeah, all day. I mean, and most of the guys were doing car videos, you know what I mean, in the basement, you know, there's some darn dingy. So it's just like these guys are respectable. Once the studio element came in, it was like, okay, we treat these guys official. They official. They got gas studio equipment. It just changed. So now that the guys today, they're like, oh, I got something to say. And then they pull their phone out. They're not going to get
And I think the other thing with us that I don't want to pat myself too much on the back, but we were able to like bring bookers like you,
Yeah.
like Google, and like people are seeing you guys in another environment,
Yes.
like
in a professional
in a professional environment in a studio. Like, so I think people really enjoy like seeing that, like, oh, I'm watching Coach, but he's like not in his regular studio.
Yeah.
He's here hanging out with these dudes,
He's not
and they're
on-
sitting together at the table.
Yeah.
And they're talking.
Yeah.
This is awesome.
That was,
We didn't have that in Brooklyn. We have that.
most people would do these little, I'm gonna pull you up on the stream, and then, you know, you got the stream, but now we're live, you know, we're more colorful. And I just think for that, it changed the game for everybody else, but all genres were doing better cameras, better quality content, better editing. People are starting to get teams. You got a team.
Yeah, live
Right.
streaming.
Live streaming, yeah.
And I'll say this too, right? Like, I genuinely think, like, you know, though we kind of did the thing with the podcast and the Red Bull space. Look, if you came up with us, you're going to continue to come on the show. Right? No matter how big we get, we're always going to bring people on because at the end of the day, this started off as a Red Bull podcast, is going to end as a Red Bull podcast, and you know, whether it's women or politics, whatever it is, it's the truth. And that's one thing I really like because it's bring other guys in. Because a lot of you guys like do your own, right? So you stream, it's just you. But I think there's a certain satisfaction viewers get from having, you know, them right now watching their favorite streamer. Maybe you're their favorite streamer, but now they're able to see you interact with us and us ask you questions and like kind of have you in a different situation where it's like, oh, I'm answering questions and it's off the top versus like when you stream, you know, I know you're very organized and you have a template. Well, with us, it's like now you're able to be more chill
More of a personality.
So, yeah.
You suck.
So
Yeah.
coach, in the game, I think you're one of the best. Actually, I said you're one of the top ones, right?
Shit, YouTube.
Yeah.
Monetize your bro.
Yeah,
Before I get some traction.
You set the pace for a lot of creators. Your whole show segments, people copy it, they don't give you credit, all that stuff. But you made it you made it available to the manosphere.
Yeah.
Why it died, why it's not developing, why it won't go anywhere. You gotta put it in a more concise way for the audience here.
Yeah, just real
Yeah.
very important. And I think what happened was, and this is why I'm gonna give you credit, is you just said you brought people in with their philosophy and you allowed them to showcase it. Where I think what happened was that around 2021, 2022, Kevin Samuels is big by now. You guys are 500,000 to 1 million, right? Now we're starting to see, oh, they make money from this. So then we started seeing the carbon line, right? We was getting studio equipment and then right, and we go, oh,
Yeah.
so now nobody's getting credit. Where now